Take a nice long in-breath and just welcome your breath. Your breath is not even something you necessarily need to take or force. Just receive. And feel yourself sitting in your seat. Feel yourself in your body. And as you breathe, give yourself permission to expand even just a little more inside the space of your own body. Really feel into your heart space, this beautiful heart that just works so hard for us. Really feel into the divine, sacred blood and the water that's flowing through your body. I'd like you to drop your awareness down into your legs and your hips and your womb space. We spend so much of our day here up in our mental space, and it works so hard for us that we don't really step into our bodies as often as we should as women leaders. So breathe into this womb space. Take a nice elongated breath in. And as you exhale, just release anything that you're holding on to, any residual excess stuff from the day, anything you still have yet to let go of as you turn this pivotal moment in the new year. Take a moment now to just let go, to release anything that you might be holding on to. And bring your hands down into your womb space right now, right below your belly. Feel the warmth and the nurturing, loving space that we call our womb. This is the start of creation. And let yourself breathe into this space. This is the crown of your feminine wisdom. Letting your center of your attention rest here in this lower space. Inhale and exhale. You're not forcing anything, you're just inviting the breath. Just feel the love of this webinar, this call, this sisterhood that's arrived here from all over the country. Women on this call rising deeper and stronger into their feminine wisdom and their leadership. Really feel the connection of this sisterhood. Allow yourself to feel that you are here at such a divinely appointed and divinely precious time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your commitment to yourself. Breathe into that knowing that you are here to live and breathe and give your gifts to the world. Take a nice long in-breath once again. And exhale. Beautiful. Gently begin to open your eyes and come back into the room. Come back into this space. Thank you. Thank you for arriving here together in this divine sisterhood. You are in a sacred container. How often do we get to arrive together, come together, convene in such a loving sisterhood space? So it is my privilege to journey with you for the next hour as we bring this webinar called Pick Your Platform and Raise Your Voice. Today's call is in collaboration with the beautiful One Global Family Foundation, Sacred Call to Activism. So I thank them for their beautiful, loving, collaborative spirit. Isn't that the feminine way? The collaborative connectivity, right? That it's community over competition, that it's collaboration over, one-upping each other, or that the only way forward is together. So in that spirit, I welcome you here on this sacred call to activism called Pick Your Platform and Raise Your Voice. And again, I encourage you to add your voice to the conversation. Use the chat space, the little chat box that you see to your right, to add your voice or any questions that arise or anything that you want to add to the conversation today. Okay? So here we are. Here we are on the second day of 2017. Women are ready to go. There's a fire in our collective belly. And I feel it, and we all feel it. So I commend you. I champion you. I cheer you for being here. Many of us feel at this moment, that this is the moment we've been waiting for our entire lives, right? Women have worked so hard to be seen, to be felt, to be understood. Women have struggled to come through so much, and it is here. And the time is now. So whatever frustration or angst or uncertainty or concern you are feeling, let's use that as the fuel for good. Let's use this fire in our belly for fierce love and compassionate action. Okay? So that is why we're here together on this call, because that's what we do as women, right? We gather, we assemble, we strategize, and then we kick ass, right? That's what we do. And a lot of women are feeling into a deeper calling to leadership. A lot of women are feeling a deeper rise to use their voice for good, that we can no longer be sidelined or silenced, that we have to show up in the world in a bigger, bolder way. It's exciting and it's thrilling even. But this webinar wouldn't be real if we didn't also acknowledge that it can also be uncomfortable and risky. And sometimes even downright scary to be seen that fully, to really come out with your message and with your gifts, right, in a public way. But getting in touch with the power of your own voice is such a great way to create some solid ground to stand on and help alchemize those fears. So on this call, I want to share with you some very real and definitive ways you can tap into your voice, your leadership and visibility in this world right now. That you no longer have to wait your turn or wait until the conditions are right or wait for some validation from an external source. Because the truth is, we live in amazing times, right? Our foremothers, and I'm just checking the chat box to see if you guys have any questions or anything comes up. So I will be keeping my eye open to that, okay? But going back to my thought that our foremothers didn't have the kind of access or the extent of choice that you and I have today, right? This webinar is a perfect example of that. Everyone here on this call has the ability to impact others or shift the collective consciousness through your Facebook posts, through your blogs, your articles, your webinars, your podcasts. In other words, we have greater access to learn something new and then turn around and share it with other women. That's incredible. This is something my own grandmother, or even my mother, didn't have access to. So you and I collectively and individually can impact the lives of women and girls unlike ever before. Now, in order to do that, while all that is true and all that is wonderful, I want to speak to one of the bigger obstacles that kind of, I feel, stands in our way, that a lot of us women face in bringing our message or our vision in a bigger or bolder way, right? There is one particular and primary act that's required of each of us women leaders. And everyone on this call before we can be fully seen. In order for your voice to be heard, or in order to speak up. And I'm going to share this tool with you because if there's one particular thing I'd like you to walk away with in today's call, it's this. And if you're taking notes, I highly recommend that you do. This call is being recorded. Yet you will want to take some notes so that you can review a lot of this when you go back to your, when the call ends rather. Okay, so the first tool I'd like to talk to, or one obstacle that is in our way that we need to acknowledge, is that it's time that we take responsibility for our own visibility. Take responsibility for your own visibility, right? Instead of waiting your turn or kind of continuing to wither away in that learning curve. Because here's the truth, sisters. There's no longer a middle ground anymore, right? It's either do or don't. There is no standing in the middle and kind of weighing your options anymore. Because that's where we are in the cultural consciousness right now. Okay? Because here's the truth. We're not here to just take up residence in this land of opportunity. We are here to transform this into a land of equality. But none of that can happen if you're waiting your turn, or you're waiting to be asked to step up, or you're waiting for some sort of validation or green light from an external source, right? This is no longer that old paradigm that we're speaking of. You no longer, for instance, have to wait to be invited to speak, or wait your turn at events and panel discussions. No, it's up to you. And it's up to me to take responsibility for our visibility. And it's time to take your rightful and equitable place at the leadership table. But you have to be willing to show up fully. I hope this resonates with you. And if it does, please give me a big ol' yes in the chat box so I know that I'm on the right track, that we have to take responsibility for our own visibility. Right? So here's where we can start. So you might be thinking, Sonali, that's great. I want to speak up. You might be saying, I have something to say. I have a message to offer. I have so much, within inherent that I want to use for good, right? But where do we start, right? We must speak up. We must be willing to be seen, right? With every tweet, with every post, with every article we write, with every live stream, webinar, or video we utilize. This is incredible access, unprecedented access that we have unlike ever before, and we have to be willing to use that for good, right? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later on the call. But if there ever was a time to stand up and be seen, that time is now, right? It's time to come out of your tribe. It's time to come out of your retreats. It's time to come out of your yoga classes. It's time to come out of your meditation circles. It's time to come into the mainstream with your feminine leadership and influence. So take responsibility for your visibility. This alone will be a game changer for you. Okay, so again, some of you might be saying, Sonali, great, but how do we do that? You know, I want to speak up. I want to share my message. I know a lot of you are out there saying, what I say matters. I have something to offer the collective, right? Where do you go from here? And I'm going to show you how. I want to share some practical and very real ways you can touch the lives of so many more women and humanity than you ever thought possible. Okay? Yes. Laura says, yes, yes, yes. Good. I love the yeses. Keep the yeses coming. And Susmita says, yes, I have so much within now. It is bursting at the seams. Yes, Susmita. Allow it to burst out. Yet we're gonna do it in a way that's with grace and ease, right? We're gonna give our gifts to the world in a strategic, graceful, and easeful way. Okay, so if you're taking notes, again, jot some of these ideas down, because these are real world ways that you can begin to strategize and anchor into some real life action steps that you can start taking right away. Okay? All right, number one. So in order to pick your platform and raise your voice, you need to begin by raising your words. Did you get that? In order to pick your platform and raise your voice, you need to raise your words, right? What I mean by that is, it's coming up with a well-crafted signature talk that makes an impact and draws people into the problem that you are here to solve. This is such a wonderful way to get off the sidelines and be heard, to build your brand or spread your message or bring awareness to the causes that you care about and share what matters most to you. Right? The world needs your testimony. The world needs your stories. The world needs to hear from more diverse women leaders. This is the secret elixir to alchemizing some of the angst and confusion around how to stand up and speak out and be seen in the world. If you are feeling some discontent or feel kind of sidelined or suppressed in this world, this is the key to help shift that. Because when you formulate an articulate, well-structured talk, it will then give you further courage to speak up. It'll give you the courage to speak up at protests, at rallies, at panel discussions. It will better prepare you to be on camera or share your viewpoint in a poised and meaningful way. Whether that be taking the stage, hosting a workshop, or leading a movement. And it will give you the confidence you need to give an answer or, oftentimes we're put on the spot to what we feel about a specific issue in the world, or what your pulse is about what's happening in the zeitgeist. When you formulate an actual signature talk, it's going to give you the confidence to speak up and be heard and use your voice for good. A lot of the poised and well-spoken women leaders and visionaries and trailblazers of our time, who kind of appear to speak off the cuff or speak so eloquently. And I'm speaking of the Marianne Williamsons of the world and the Oprahs of the world and, the Malalas of the world. I guarantee you, please believe me on this, every one of them started here. They all started by developing an actual signature talk so that they could then repurpose that, restyle it, and reuse that talk at women's conferences, at live events, or when speaking to the press or making a statement. So if you haven't prepared a signature talk already, this is a wonderful place to start. Whether you're a healer, whether you're a student or an entrepreneur or a writer, or whether perhaps you assume a leadership role already, this is a great creative strategy to better help you hold your ground and take a larger platform. Okay? Like I mentioned before on this call, this is no longer the old paradigm of public speaking. You no longer have to wait to be invited to speak at events or panels. It's no longer the case of waiting your turn. It's up to you to take responsibility for your visibility, and it's time to take your rightful and equitable place at the leadership table. But you have to be willing to show up fully, right? Because here's the truth. Nobody can broadcast your message quite like you. You bring the nuance or the flavor or the correct frequency that no one else can replicate. With your strategy and your specific skill set, your own indigenous wisdom, your traditional ways, you are the vessel, the conduit for your message. Nobody else can deliver it for you. Believe it. You are the one to bring your message to the world. Okay? You don't get to, it doesn't get transferred to someone else, right? So if you don't give your message, we all lose out. I lose out, and I don't want to lose out on the incredible transformation that I may receive from your gifts, right? So remember, it's not so much you as it is your message and your voice, right? So some of you might be saying, okay, great. Well, where do I begin, right? What if I don't know where to begin or how to formulate my thoughts around developing a cohesive and powerful talk? And that's a great question, right? So that leads me to my next point number 2. And this is powerful, okay? Okay, I'm just going to take a look at the chat box. Love you, Sonali. You are a powerful woman. Wendy, thank you. We are mirrors for each other. And that is why we're here. Okay, point number 2. So point number 1 was develop a signature talk. Point number 2, be willing to tell your story. Be willing to tell your story. This is such a powerful, beautiful, energetic starting point, right? Because your truth is your power. Share your story, sisters. Share your story. And it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Actually, it won't be perfect. And in fact, that's what resonates the most with other women. The women that show up fully with their imperfections and flaws. So show up, tell your story, give your message, give the message of your story to the world. Let people in on your story. Because by doing so, other women will experience themselves through you. By how you choose your words or create your art. So let your deeper soul identity be your signature talk. Let your deeper soul identity be your book or your passions or your message or your speech. This is the authenticity that our world so desperately needs right now, right? The great Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. So sing your song, share your message from a stage, speak at a women's conference, build your business, share your art. The time is now, sisters. This is the moment. This is the time we've been waiting for. It's ours. And all we need to do is step into the spotlight and take your rightful and equitable place at the leadership table, right? Because, you know, women, we're creators. We birth things, right? That's who we are intrinsically. So the time is now to bring your feminine truth and to birth your message to the world. Okay? Okay, so how do I do that, you might ask, right? There are some very dynamic and simple ways to create more visibility for your message, for your brand, and the passions and causes that you care about, right? So what and how do we do that? Now, and when I say pick your platform and raise your voice, that's an all-encompassing thing. What I mean by that, but what I mean by platform is it's harnessing traditional media and social media, and the actual stage, blogging, taking the stage, etc. Okay, so what is a way that you can be more visible with your message and your passions and your truth, right? Pick your platform. And there are so many platforms to choose from. Like I said, we have unprecedented access, unlike ever before, unlike it was for our grandmothers and our mothers, right? And I'm talking about YouTube. I'm speaking of applying to speak at a women's conference, building a website or using your website more fully, hosting a webinar or a teleclass, much like we're doing here on this call, be a guest blogger, ask a fellow sister to interview you. In fact, I'm going to use that opportunity, make an open invitation here right now. If you feel you want to be interviewed, let me know. I'm more than happy, sister, to collaborate in that spirit of collaboration and sisterhood, to show up for you. Use live stream and Facebook Live. Host a workshop or a live event. Take the TED or TEDx stage. Use, every one of these mediums if you want to, but just pick your platform. Use social and traditional media to the fullest extent. It's yours to utilize. And did you notice one common thing among all these platforms that I just mentioned? I'm not sure if you caught that, but there's one specific thing that's common about all of them, and that is they're all free. These are, for the most part, these are free resources I mentioned. Imagine that. You have to start valuing your voice in this world because the platforms are available. It's out there. There's so many ways to show up in the world, but you have to start valuing your beautiful voice, right? Okay, let's take a nice long in-breath. That's a lot of info I just gave you. Just want to take a moment to integrate that, to really think about. Perhaps there's one specific platform I mentioned that has been calling out to you, that has been kind of coming up on your radar, or one that you might have been pushing to the background, or kind of, the opportunity has arisen and you just haven't felt you were, had the tools or the resources or the gumption to step into. Just want to take a moment right now and let you know, sister, that you can do this. You can do this, and that you have a loving, supportive, collaborative sisterhood waiting for you on the other side, waiting to support you and love you up and encourage you and empower you to show up fully. We need your voice. We need your blessing. Your message could have a transmission or offer a transformation that we really need right now. So I ask you to take this moment to fully sit with that thought, if it has come up for you, to really think about, not from up here, but in your heart space, really feel that you are fully supported to show up in a bigger, bolder way. That what you need has arrived. that all that is waiting in the way is you, that all we really need is you to show up fully with your imperfections and flaws, right? Perfect is not what the world needs right now. What we need is you, your beautiful, flawed, complex, feminine presence. Okay. Okay. I also want to add another very juicy resource. Okay. Write this down because you're going to love this. I'm going to look into the chat box to make sure that nothing else has come up. Susmita says, Sonali, could you please send us a few links that you mentioned, women's forums, etc.? Well, Susmita, isn't your timing just divinely appointed? I'm just about to do that. I really want you to write this down. I'm also going to type it into the chat box. I'm going to give you a couple of juicy resources so that you can show up more fully in the world, so that you can be seen for the expertise and the problem that you are here to solve in this world. One of them is called womensmediacenter.com, and the other is called shesource.com. And I'm going to type that into the chat box right now. Please take a look. And for those of you that are calling in that don't have access to the online portal, I'm just to let you know, it's womensmediacenter.com and shesource.com. Now, these are two online sources of female experts on diverse topics designed, okay, they're specifically there to serve journalists, organizers, and bookers who need female guests for their panels, for their women's conferences and events. Or in the event the media needs a statement from a woman leader. And please trust me when I say they're looking for you. Add your name as a resource on these two platforms. This is a great way to instantly gain visibility and get into the mainstream with your profile. Okay? Both these exciting and helpful resources are there to elevate visibility for women, and they're free. So please consider joining both those online portals. Okay. Okay. Now, I want to say something about this next topic. One that I find is misunderstood or not fully expressed or talked about. And it's kind of what I like to call the elephant in the room. It's a very big elephant. And I want to talk about this element of struggle I feel women overall. I sense this in my own clients. I see this in myself. I sense this in the women leaders that I speak with, right? And it's a specific thing that prevents us from bringing our message to the world. And that's called perfectionism. Okay? And please indicate in the chat box if you can relate to this, right? So I know it's not just me. And, this struggle around perfectionism, I feel as women, we've been hiding around it or dancing around perfectionism forever. I see it time and time again in myself and in the world. And not in a traditional way, that you might be initially thinking. What I'm referring to is, and this is hard to articulate because it's calling all of us out, but I'm going to take a bold stand and do just that. And that is that I feel that we tend to use perfectionism to play it safe. If my message isn't perfect, or if my message is perfect, then perhaps I won't get judged. Or, if I get my message just right, then people won't criticize you, right? A lot of the women I work with, whether they are from an immigrant background or not, whether they are fully, embrace their confidence and their self-esteem or not, they grapple with this. We grapple with this, right? Where we're waiting for our message or our gifts or our service or our product or our speech to feel perfect. We have this fear of looking stupid, or feel held back by our own limiting belief structure around this. So what ends up happening is, and what I found in my own life, is that we hold back and prolong giving our gifts, right? Because you're waiting for the right conditions, or you're waiting for validation from some external source that, okay, now you're ready to go, I'm here to say, sisters, that I think it's time to stop playing cool, right? Because then we end up serving no one. We all lose out, right? So I just wanted to address that. I felt that was something that needed to be said, that needed to be spoken of. This dancing that we do around perfectionism. I've used some of the craziest perfectionism excuses. We tend to do that. I got to get my hair done before I can give that talk, or put your own, fill in the blank, whatever comes up for you. And I see yes. Yasmin says, yes, also the fear of what some people might think, especially family. Thank you, Yasmin, for acknowledging that. Thank you for expressing that. That is often something I find I struggle with too. I feel you there very much. It is my topic controversial, right? Will anyone even show up? Will anyone even care about what I have to say? Does it matter? It matters because it's your passion. It's your gifts. It's it's the imprint of who you are. And your particular message could carry, a transmission that nobody else can bring. No one else can deliver it. And if you choose to hold on to it, if you're holding it close to your chest, we all lose out. I don't want to lose out on my transformation. So I'm here to say it's time. It's time we give our gifts to the world. And that's not to say we don't do our due diligence, that we don't develop a strategy and work hard to articulate our gifts and articulate our voice. Yet do not allow it to hold you back. Don't allow yourself to hide behind perfectionism in order to, wait it out. The time is now. It's not 10 months from now or next year. It's now. So thank you so much for expressing that. If you have any questions or anything comes up and related to this webinar, please include it in the chat box. Okay. I also want to speak to something else around bringing your message to the world. Your story. I feel this is something also that one of the roadblocks, or the perceived roadblocks or stumbling blocks that we place in front of ourselves comes from this inability or a sense of lack, right? That we feel that we're not ready, or that I'm almost there. You're on the precipice of almost. Find a way to shift through that, to move through that almost, Trust that you're going to build your wings on the way up, right? Because think about all the incredible amount of resources and tools that you have at your disposal. You have a fellow sister, sisterhood supporting me to show up for you. If you need some strategy to build your voice in a more articulate way, or you're struggling with something in particular to your message or your signature talk, reach out to me. This is exactly what I am getting ready to do myself. I'd like to share with you that I will be taking the TEDx stage very soon. Yes, because I feel that as an immigrant woman, I believe my voice and my message needs to be heard. And I mention that to illustrate just how accessible it is, the TED or TEDx platform. As women, I'll be honest, there's another tiny elephant in the room that should be addressed also. And that is that as women, I find we do tend to get a little too bogged down by our credentials or lack thereof, or perceived lack. Don't do it, sisters. Do not do it. You have every right to be on that stage. You have every right to take your rightful place at the leadership table. The world needs the feminine perspective now more than ever, right? So it's you and it's me. It's up to us. And the more we are seen in the mainstream, the more you and I are willing to take our rightful place in that spotlight, the more other women are going to see themselves in that space. So think about the incredible traction, the incredible power that you hold within you to raise that feminine vibration, to raise our collective sisterhood into the mainstream, right? It starts with you and it starts with me. It's time to rise up. It's time to disrupt the status quo and the cultural norm, right? Whether you wish to disrupt the patriarchy or expand your soul-centered business or simply stand up for an issue that you care about. The time is now. It's now. 2016 is over. We've let go of all our unintegrated goals, and we've let go of the things that we kind of tend to hold on to and not fully show up with. We've let that go. So we really have a free and airy and light platform right now that's just waiting to be embraced, right? And loved up, right? We were weighted down by the heaviness of 2016, but we committed on our last call to let that go, right? We did that together in this space. So once again, I call on all of us on this webinar to harness that space, that gap that you have created now, right? To invite the new, to really fully embrace your feminine perspective and your feminine ways, and really start to write down the ways you're going to integrate and make your visibility more known in the world. Okay. Whew, I'm going to go to the chat box once more. Susmita says, too bogged down with credentials and realization has nothing to do with credential. Thank you, Susmita. And again, feel free to add your voice to the chat box. If you have a question, I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you. And if you feel you need some strategy, again, around a specific project or a vision, or need a little bit of guidance around formulating your signature talk, reach out to me. Go to sonalifisk.com or support@sonalifisk.com. You can email me there, and I'd be happy to offer you a 45-minute strategy session. a visioning strategy session for the new year. Let's get you really honed in on what it is that you're struggling with, or what is in the way of you showing up more fully with your message and with your business and with your vision. Okay, so I'm going to type in my email address into the chat box right now. That's support@sonalifist.com. Feel free to shoot me an email right now if you so choose, and in the subject simply put visioning session, and I'll send you my link to my online calendar where you can choose the right date and time for you. Okay, that's my gift to you, sister, because I'm deeply committed to seeing you show up in this world in a bigger, bolder way. It's time. Okay, again, that's support@sonalifist.com, or you can also go to my website, which is sonalifisk.com. Okay. Okay. So, okay. I do have a prayer that I would like to offer. It's more of an invocation, a message from the 13 grandmothers that I would like to offer you to help inspire you and empower you to get out there and show up in the world with your beautiful spirit. Okay, so this particular message is from the 13 grandmothers, and I'd like to offer it to you right now. Okay, and it goes. You were not born to cower in fear, not born to hide and tremble. No. You were born for greatness, born a vessel of love, destined to stand steady, a great tree offering shade and shelter to all. You are not weak and helpless. At times you may feel fear as it passes by, because fear is always seeking a place to feed. But fear cannot take up permanent residence in you when you are linked with us. Stand in your power. Call forth the net of light. Magnify its reach and then hold steady. Be the great one you are. Give love and comfort whenever you can. Hold a place of peace in an unpeaceful world. Call on us to surround and support you, because we will. And the more you work with us, the more you will anchor the net of light for the world. You will become a walking blessing upon the earth. This is what is needed now, and this is what you were born for. We stand with you now and always. You have everything you need. Now get to work. I felt the vibration of those powerful, spirited words. That was a beautiful message from the 13 grandmothers to all the women leaders of the world. So I hope you were truly touched and moved by that beautiful piece. And I hope it gave you the fuel that you need to really show up in this world in a bigger way. I'm so grateful to be here with you, sisters. And Laura also says that she would like for me to share a spoken word piece. I actually am I love poetry. It's another way I show up in the world. And I did write a spoken word piece called, I think, what did I call it? I think it was called The Every Light. Let me see if I can find it for you. And I would be happy to share that with you as well. But in the meantime, if you have any questions If you have anything to add or anything to offer this webinar, this is the interactive portion of it. Feel free to add your voice. Feel free to raise your hand or simply type your question or your message into the chat box, okay? Wendy says, thank you for the beautiful message. You are so welcome, sister. It's a joy to share this space with you. Thank you for being here today. Susmita says, thank you for lifting up my sagging energy tonight. Bow to you and the 13 grandmothers. Bow to you, sister Susmita. I'm happy that you shared this space with us as well. Okay, I'm going to try to see if I can find this, my spoken word piece, hoping that it will pop up here. And if not, then I'm going to have it ready for our next call next week. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to share that with you all on the next call. We have something to look forward to. This webinar is brought to you in collaboration with the One Global Family Foundation, Sacred Call to Activism. This is in response to the rising tribe of women coming together, convening and sharing our vision and our message with the world. So you will be seeing these calls on a weekly basis on every Tuesday. So do mark your calendar. We will be coming live to you. Showing up live can be very powerful and energetic. So I encourage you to find ways that you can show up live. You know, it's a beautiful energy, or beautiful vortex of feminine energy that can yield a lot of greatness and goodness. So we will mark your calendar now. These calls will take place every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, until further notice. So again, I thank you so much for joining us here today on this call. Thank you for showing up with your beautiful feminine wisdom. Thank you for showing up with yourself. And until next time, I wish you a beautiful start to your week. And I'll see you here next Tuesday. Thank you.